Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. I'm just going to scooch that a little. Yeah. I just want to.
I had to run back.
Oh, sorry,
Hi,
Sarah.
honey. How are you?
I'm good. Everybody ready? Okay. Well, first, let me recognize all of my council colleagues who are here. And if I miss anybody, because there's a big crowd, just holler. Councilmember Margaret Chin, Councilmember Liz Crowley, Councilmember Steve Levin, Councilmember Sarah Gonzalez, Councilmember Dr. Matthew Eugene, Councilmember Adonis Rodriguez, Councilmember Fernando Cabrera, Councilmember Jimmy Van Bramer, Councilmember Mark Weprin, Councilmember Jessica Lappin, Councilmember Al Van, Councilmember Jim Gennaro, Girl needs to take a breath. Councilmember Leroy Comrie, Councilmember Donovan Richards, I heard was here, but I don't.
I'm right behind you.
Oh.
I look older today.
Sorry, I didn't see you there. I don't know if I said Jessica, but I'll say Jessica again. And of course, the prime sponsor of the paid sick leave bill, Councilmember Gail Brewer. So let me start by thanking thanking Councilmember Gail Brewer, thanking the entire Paid Sick Leave Coalition, thanking the 5 borough chambers of commerce who have worked with us, and thanking in particular Hector Figueroa from 32BJ. And as Hector knows, we're only as good as our staff, Allison Hirsch of 32BJ, and also Sherry Lewant of A Better Balance, some folks who, along with Margaret Nelson, Adamola Oyesefa, Mike Laskaway, Laura Popa, Ray Majewski, and Preston Niblack from my staff also deserve a round of applause, as well as Gail Brewer's staff, who she could recognize my name. This could be a long press.
We've been doing them for
Exactly. I am very pleased we've been able to reach an agreement to pass a paid sick leave bill later next month. This bill will provide paid sick time and unpaid sick time to over 1 million workers in New York and provide paid sick time to nearly 1 million workers. I've always said that I supported the goal of paid sick leave. So the question for me was never a question of if, only a question of when and how, and I'm so grateful to everyone who has worked to get us to this right time in this correct way. People who are sick or who need to take care of a sick or ailing loved one should be able to take a day off without being afraid of losing their job and therefore being afraid that they won't be able to pay their bills. It is simply the right thing to do, what we are announcing today. Like everyone, I've been moved by the stories we've heard of people who have not had this important benefit. Throughout the process, I, along with many of my colleagues who are here today, and Gail herself, have also pressed on the importance of recognizing the impact that this proposal would have on New York City's economy, its small businesses, and its mom and pop proprietors. And I want to particularly thank Gail, who, although has been a fierce proponent for this bill, she has always been mindful of that in a very inclusive way. It's been my goal to make sure that when we provide this important benefit to millions of people who need access to paid sick leave, we did it without creating an administrative burden on those businesses that currently offer the benefit when they can least afford it. And I've always said that it was vital, that any paid sick bill protect small businesses and ensure that we move forward only in the right economic time. And I'm proud to say that this legislation strikes the balance of those interests in an important and aggressive way. And frankly, that's what effective policymaking is all about, striking that balance. The agreement we've hammered out meets all of these goals. It provides a critically important benefit to New Yorkers, and it does it without putting jobs at risk. It protects people, it protects small businesses, and I'm incredibly proud of this final piece of legislation. Let me give you some specifics of what's in the legislation. This law guarantees that all New Yorkers can take time off to care for themselves and their families when they're sick without fear of threat of losing their job. And I want to thank in particular Make the Road New York, for whom I know that was
So they understand, and then you offer the
Exactly. I know that was a very important platform in all of this for Make the Road. Businesses with 20 or more employees will have to offer paid sick leave beginning a year from now, April 2014. And businesses with 15 or more employees will have to offer paid sick leave beginning 18 months later in October 2015. In addition, the bill will require that all businesses of any size, as I said before, provide unpaid sick leave to their employees beginning also on April 1st, 2014. By setting the start date 1 year in the future, we're giving the economy additional time to demonstrate a consistent and stable recovery, and at the same time, it appropriately allows businesses the time they need to get ready to offer paid and unpaid sick leave. Importantly, this bill includes a trigger, something that I've talked about for a while, that ensures the law only goes into effect if the economy continues to recover. So if a major downturn occurs, we would put off implementation of the legislation. To determine this, we're using the Federal Reserve Bank of New York's Coincident Index, which is a measure of New York City's economic growth and a comprehensive total measure that gives us a real sense. Under this provision, as I said, if the economy unexpectedly worsens, the bill will be delayed from taking effect until the conditions improve. We've also exempted the manufacturing sector from the paid leave provisions due to the particular challenges of that sector. I just want to thank everyone who is with us today. This has been an ongoing process of discussion and dialogue, one where we really wanted to balance the different interests that were out there to get workers who needed and deserved paid sick leave that right, get people protection so they could take days off and not lose their jobs. But we wanted to do it in a way that was mindful of the economy, mindful of the impact on small businesses, both in size but also in administrative impact. And I know everyone in this coalition is mindful of not wanting to put more unnecessary fines on mom and pop stores. And that is why it's so important that the enforcement and administrative provisions of this bill, with Gail's input, were amended to be ones that are fair and not overly burdensome on small businesses. And I just want to say, one of the great things about this process is all sides have had a moment to have a voice. And if you'd asked me a year or so ago what the top issues of small businesses were going to be, they weren't the ones that ended up being the top issues. But the businesses spoke for themselves about enforcement, about paperwork, about fine-related issues, and all of those were able to be addressed in a way that I think today we've not only made ourselves poised to pass this legislation, but we've also put ourselves a step forward by bringing the Chambers of Commerce and the advocates of paid sick leave together in a way that they have never been before in our city. So I want to thank everyone for that. Let me now call on someone who has been a respectful but incredibly aggressive advocate for her legislation, Councilmember Gail Brewer. Before Gail speaks, I also want to recognize the president of RWDSU, Stu Applebaum, who's with us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Speaker Quinn, and this amazing coalition. This is a very special day that we have made possible when over 1 million New Yorkers will now be able to take a day off if they are sick or their child gets sick. After 4 years of nonstop advocacy and coalition building, I want to thank the Paid Sick Days Coalition members and my amazing 39, I'm not going to forget that number, council colleagues who sponsored the bill 97A, and I want to thank you with all my heart for not giving up. It took 500, I counted them, conference calls. Hundreds of press conferences and rallies and meetings with thousands of parents, workers, healthcare folks, unions, advocacy groups, nonprofits, and yes, great businesses, large and small. And as we stand here today, 83% of New Yorkers say yes to paid sick time because a healthy workplace is better for them and our families. I am honored to be a member of the New York City Council that addressed this issue. 1 million New Yorkers will now have the fundamental right to a paid day off when they or a family member is ill, and no worker will be fired if they must stay home when they're sick. This is a tremendous accomplishment of which all fair-minded New Yorkers can be proud. The argument over paid sick time was always about common sense and fairness. Some oppose the concept of legislating paid sick time, but we all agree it's a false economy to send sick kids to school and sick workers to the workplace. I believe that this potential law enshrines the principle that American exceptionalism is not just about large profits and small elites, but a workplace that is safe, fair, and respectful of the lives of workers. It returns us to a premise as old as that geezer Henry Ford, or someone I prefer, Francis Perkins. When workers get to share in the prosperity they create, then everyone benefits. Workers who have an incentive to invest themselves in their jobs will remain loyal and be better employees, and paid sick time rewards these qualities. So today we have an agreement that says to 1 million New Yorkers that this government of the people is not only about those who have everything, but each of us has a right to benefits created by the labor of all of us. Thank you very much.
Yeah, please go right ahead. Please go right ahead.
There are a lot of people to thank, but Shula Warren, Chief of Staff, is number 1. And Will Colgrove, also from my staff. Yeah. I do want to thank A Better Balance. You heard Shelley Wewitt. I also want to thank Jared Make, who worked from A Better Balance. From the New York State Paid Leave Coalition, Donna Dolan and Martha Baker. From the Center for Popular Democracy, Andrew Freeman and Amy Carroll. Oh my God. From Make the Road, there are lots and lots of people from Make the Road. But Javier Valdez particularly. I want to thank Bill Lipton. I want to thank Bill Lipton and Emmanuel Wilson from the Working Families Party. I want to thank Community Service Society Nancy Ratkin. I want to thank ROC. I want to thank the Fiscal Policy Institute James Parrott. I want to thank Gloria Steinem. I want to thank Ruth Messinger, Berlin Rosen, all the clergy, all the doctors and nurses who came from the unions and from the hospitals. I want to thank, I can't tell you how great, with all due respect to Hector Figueroa, Allison Hirsch is, with all due respect, 1199 is also wonderful. The amazing number of unions, the New York State Nurses Association. I think you heard earlier how wonderful retail RWDSU is, but they are. The legal aid attorneys, Local 1500, United Food and Commercial Workers. Pat was also very helpful. UFT was helpful. Amazing group of coalition. As I said, there were thousands of meetings. I could go on and on, but there is no end to this list. And I think all the women's groups, all the parents, there were hundreds and hundreds of parents who came out, and the immigrant rights groups, and I want to say business owners. There are 2 particular chambers here. I think Brooklyn and Queens are the coolest, I have to tell you. They are very cool. And so I also want to say that there's a worker who wants to speak. Do you want to ask Hector to speak?
Yeah, they're going to speak.
Go right ahead. Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Now, I'm not sure why Gail had to diss the other chambers and Henry Ford all in the middle of our comments, but thank you very much, Gail. Let me recognize we've been joined by Councilmember Inez Dickens as well. Thank you for being here. And let me next call on, and Gail is absolutely right to underscore how great Allison Hirsch was from 32BJ, but let me next call on the president of 32BJ, Hector Figueroa, someone, and I know Gail will agree with this, we would not be here today without the whole coalition, but I can tell you without a doubt we would not be here today without the incredible focus, effort, and vision of the great president of 32BJ, Hector Figueroa.
So, first of all, I want to thank everybody that Gail thanked. I think this has been an incredible coalition effort, and it shows what New York can accomplish when New York works together. And this was really traveling through uncharted territory. The coalition provided the compass and the direction. The speaker and the legislature did the terrain. They read the terrain, they knew where the cliffs were, where the hills were, where the valleys were, and where the path had to be set. And then every New Yorker showed their disposition to go through that road. And today we have a roadmap that is going to provide paid sick leave and the right to go to stay home and not go to work without fear of being fired to over 1 million people. Yeah. That is amazing. And in doing so, we are telling not only New York, but the nation that the time is right. The time is right to take care of one another. The time is right to make it easy for working people to provide for their families. And the time is right to be able to reconcile the interests of business with the interests of the majority of the working population. We can do it. Sí se puede. I want to thank Gail, for incredible leadership in the council. Over the years, we have worked on many issues, from sick day to domestic workers to language access, you name it. The entire council is something we're really proud of. The speaker for bringing together sectors that were not necessarily in agreement on the very sense of having government have a say on such an issue. It takes hard work, and the hard work is done. Let's make sure now that we pass this bill. Let's make sure now that New Yorkers know about their rights. Let's make sure now, in addition to that, that we all say to the mayor of New York, reward the good effort that has been put behind this bill. Reward the amount of goodwill from many to make this possible. Mayor, please do not veto this bill. Sign this bill. Send a message to New York that New York does best when we work together. And one last thing, I want to say something in Spanish. Para todos los trabajadores que estaban esperando que esta legislación se cumpliera, lo hemos logrado, sí se pudo. Vamos a tener días de enfermedad pagados, vamos a tener derecho a tomar días de enfermedad. Esto es una victoria de todos los trabajadores trabajando juntos con los diferentes sectores de nuestra población. Agradecemos a los miembros de la coalición, agradecemos a la portavoz del Consejo Municipal y agradecemos a los miembros del Consejo Municipal, incluyendo la que presentó la legislación, a nuestra concejal Gail Brewer y por supuesto la portavoz Chris Quinn. Esperamos nosotros que esta legislación pase por el Consejo y exhortamos al alcalde de Nueva York a que envíe un mensaje de unidad y de compromiso con los trabajadores de la ciudad y que recompense el trabajo duro de traer a la gente juntos y por favor que no vete esta ley, sino que la firme y por favor ayude al proceso de reunificar a toda la sociedad civil de Nueva York para adelantar los intereses de los trabajadores. Muchas gracias.
Next we're going to hear from, I guess what we're going to have to call one of the coolest chambers of commerce now, dubbed by Gail Brewer, Jack Friedman from the Queensborough Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah.
Apparently. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you very much. You know, this once again shows why Christine Quinn is such an incredible leader. She has listened to the concerns of small businesses during some very, very tough economic times, and throughout the process has listened to our concerns. No one ever gets 100% what they ask for, but in this case, the Speaker has struck a balance between achieving a very, very laudable goal while mitigating what could have been, bad financial hardships to small businesses. We applaud her efforts and the efforts of Councilmember Gail Brewer. We appreciate the fact that she listened to us throughout the process, and we're 100% behind her decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
clearly I agree with the coolest characterization right now. Let me next call up from A Better Balance, Sherry Luan, and I just want to take a moment to thank Sherry. She spent countless hours working with Gail's staff, and particularly Laura Popa on my staff, writing, rewriting, researching, looking at this court case, the other court case. Really was an amazing effort and focus, so I just want to thank her for that publicly. Sherry?
Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you all. I just want to say what an honor it's been to be part of this coalition, working for paid sick days for all New Yorkers. Everyone here, and many who couldn't be here today, have spent the last 4 years in rain, sleet, snow, heat, freezing cold, coming out here to show support for paid sick days. And I'm really happy it's a nice day today. That says everything. We've been joined by workers, by immigrants, by labor leaders, public health leaders, kids whose moms needed paid sick days. So many of the council members here today have come to rally after rally, event after event. We never gave up. This has been an amazing, amazing coalition, as everybody has said. And the important thing is that now 1 million New Yorkers who didn't have a single day that they could take off when they or their child was sick will now have 5 days they can take off for whenever they need it. And all New Yorkers have the guarantee that if they need to take a few days off because they're sick, they can't be fired. This was the right thing for New York to do, and it's a great thing for also, because I'm working on this for our national movement, where we're trying to get paid sick days for everyone, because New York is a leader, and I am so proud to be a New Yorker today and to help lead this effort. Everyone looks to us. So I want to give a real shout out to Gail, who has, oh God, you just don't, no one even has an idea of how many hours she has spent. And I want to thank the Speaker, Speaker Quinn, for coming here today and brokering this bill, which is a really good bill for all New Yorkers. It was a real struggle, but together, all together, we have done a really good thing for the health and well-being of all New Yorkers. So thank everybody. I thank all of you.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Next, we're going to hear from Luz Gonzalez, a worker who was, but soon will not be, without paid sick leave, who is part of Make the Road. Thank you.
Buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Luis González. Soy un inmigrante que vive en Queens y un miembro de la organización Make the Road New York. De parte de todos los miembros de Make the Road, estamos emocionados de tener un compromiso de beneficiar a más de 1 millón de trabajadores en la ciudad de Nueva York y dar protección laboral a muchos más. Es muy doloroso cuando un miembro de nuestra familia se enferma, o muchas de las veces nosotros mismos. Llamamos al patrón para pedirle permiso. Él nos dice, sí, está bien, tómense el día. Pero lo triste está al día siguiente, cuando nos encontramos con la mala sorpresa que fuimos despedidos. Yo he escuchado esta historia muchas veces en mi comunidad. El próximo año, cuando esta ley entre en vigencia, esto ya no será el caso. Nosotros hemos marchado, protestado y cabildado para que esta ley se pueda lograr. Queremos agradecer a Speaker Quinn, concejales Gail Brewer y Julissa Ferreras y nuestros aliados por haber trabajado tan duro para lograr esta victoria importante para los trabajadores. Gracias, sí se pudo.
Good morning. My name is Luis Gonzalez, and I'm an immigrant that lives in Queens, and I am a proud member of Make the Road New York. On behalf of the members of Make the Road, we are thrilled that we have a deal in the place that will benefit millions of workers in New York City and provide job protection to even more. It's very painful when you or a member of your family gets sick and you call your boss to ask if you could take a day off. Your boss says, okay, take the day off. But then the next day you go back to work and find out that you have lost your job. I've heard this story too many times in my community. Next year, once the law goes into effect, that will no longer be the case. We have fought for this legislation for a long time with our allies. We have marched, protested, lobbied, and worked in coalition to get us to this point. I want to thank Speaker Quinn, Councilmember Gail Brewer, and Julissa Ferreras, and our allies in the coalition for working with us to obtain this important victory for us and the workers. Thank you, and yes, we did.
Next, we're going to hear, we have 3 more speakers. Next, we're going to hear from one of the state's most amazing and forceful labor leaders, the president of RWDSU, Stu Applebaum.
Good morning. What a wonderful day. And congratulations, Gail. Congratulations, all of you. And especially congratulations, Speaker Quinn. This is a tremendous step forward for New York's working families. Workers will no longer have to choose between their jobs or their health and their children's health. We are incredibly proud to be part of this historic and progressive moment here in New York City, where so many low-wage workers without paid sick leave can now have some economic peace of mind. We thank Speaker Christine Quinn for showing leadership on this issue and for showing us how leadership should be exercised. And we give our deep gratitude and thanks to the whole Paid Sick Day Coalition and our lead negotiators, and especially my brothers and sister from 32BJ, Hector Figueroa, Kyle Bragg, Allison Hirsch, our brothers and sisters from Make the Road, and from so many other organizations, because you have led us and guided us through to a successful outcome. Thank you all. Si segura.
Okay, we have 2 more speakers keeping on the Gail Brewer School of Thought, which is what today is all about. From another cool Chamber of Commerce, Carlos Cesuro from the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, and then I haven't seen him in the crowd yet, but then we're going to hear from Bill Lipton of the Working Families Party. So Bill is here, heads up. Oh, there you are.
Thank you, Speaker Quinn. Thank you. Yes, Brooklyn is very cool. I think we'll all agree with that. Let me just give a shout out to our Brooklyn Council members. Thank you for everything. You know, for those of us who celebrate Easter on Sunday, today is something called Good Friday, but I think we should call it Great Friday in New York City. And really that's because Speaker Quinn has done an incredible, incredible job of bringing together people who maybe don't always agree on everything, but agree that workers, no matter in what business, 1 person or 5,000 people, deserve respect. So Speaker Quinn, thank you. Thank you, thank you for all that you've done in bringing us together. I think I was in the job a week in September, and Councilwoman Gail Brewer gave me a call, not her staff, herself, and said, Carlo, I know you come from Marty's office, but you're in a new position. I'd love to speak to you. And I said, Councilwoman, I'll come to Manhattan. I do leave Brooklyn once in a while to visit you. And she said, no, I'll come to Brooklyn. And we sat for over an hour talking about what some of the important issues were. And I think when you look at the bill, and you should be very proud of this, Gail, because you really listened to people on all sides. You listened to businesses who understood that if you have 2 or 3 workers and you're a mom and pop, this would really hurt you. You listened to manufacturers who said, we're struggling in New York City already, this would hurt. And you listened to just everyone, the workers, the businesses. So I am proud to be here. I'm proud that Speaker Quinn put together this. I'm proud that Councilwoman Brewer worked on this. But really, I'm proud of New York because we really showed that the rights of people are always in our thoughts and in our minds, and I think this is exciting. Speaker Quinn, you deserve a big round of applause on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And Just before we hear from Bill, I just want to underscore what Carlo just said about Gail. I don't think if there's 8.4 million New Yorkers, Gail may have called 7 million of them to ask them to support paid sick leave and to say she would go to wherever they were to talk to them for an hour about it. And Gail, I said it before, but I just want to say it again. You've been aggressive, focused, thoughtful, hardworking, respectful, and forward-moving every step of the way, and we wouldn't be here without you. So thank you.
Your staff is
I
phenomenal.
agree with that. Yay! That's for the Speaker's Office staff. Yay! And in particular, Preston Niblack, Ray Majewski, Mike Lasquay, Margaret Nelson, Laura Popa, Ramon Martinez when it wasn't 32BJ involved, and then Chuck Mara. I feel like I've forgotten some. Margaret, did I forget anybody? No, that's everybody. So let's give them a big round of applause. And everybody who helped them. And last, but absolutely not least, Bill Lipton. Oh, here he is, of the Working Families Party.
Bill. I want to start by thanking Speaker Quinn for supporting strong paid sick days legislation that will make our city a more humane, healthier city. Thank you, Speaker Quinn. Gail, you've inspired us, you've led us, you've done an incredible job as chief sponsor of this legislation. You and your 38.9 other colleagues have been tenacious and relentless. We want to thank you for all your incredible work. This amazing coalition that has done just incredible work for 4 years it's been such an honor to be a part of it. I want to just hang on a lantern on a few folks who some of whom have been recognized a lot, a few of them who haven't been recognized enough, in my opinion. President Figueroa, Allison, incredible work. Thank you so much. My colleague, Emmanuel Caicedo, 3 years of your life, you've made a huge difference. CSS and Nancy Rankin, we could not have done this without you. I also just want to mention our departed colleague, John Kest, who believed in this and so dearly and thought about and taught us all so much. The idea of the Working Families Party really can be summed up by the notion that we're in this together. Whether we're fighting to protect Social Security, fighting to reform the Rockefeller drug laws, or pass paid sick days legislation, we believe that society does better when we all have a stake in caring for each other. Today, I think all of us take a big step forward towards creating a society that embodies those values of solidarity and empathy. And I just want to close by reading a statement from Gloria Gail Brewer and Speaker Quinn for hanging in there with countless women's groups, the building service workers at SEIU, the Community Service Society, A Better Balance, Make the Road, New York Communities for Change, the New York State Paid Leave Coalition, the Working Families Party, the Families at Work, Values at Work Consortium, and so many more. I know this coalition will stay together until every New Yorker has paid sick days and so can protect the health even of the Chamber of Commerce members, the Manhattan Institute, and all who opposed us. The majority is wise, but has to organize.
Thank you, Bill. And we're happy to take a few questions.
What's the trigger? Can you tell us what
Wait, hang on. What's the matter?
The batteries are running out on the one bulb. Putting in the other one.
Can we plug in the blue one?
It's full. This one's full already.
I didn't.
She's putting your batteries in here.
Central Labor Council. I just want to thank Marco Carrion from the Central Labor Council, and I want to thank Dr. Hill from Gay Men's Health Crisis. Two people I forgot.
All right. Have we plugged the blue cord in or no? All right, hang on. Technical difficulties. Hang on. We'll go old school. Okay, I'm sorry. There was a question. Yes, go ahead, Dave. Sorry.
Can we just
Oh,
ask
I'm
you,
sorry, Gail.
What do you tell the small business owner who will look at this and say, it's nice, but we can't afford it?
You know, what I would say to small business owners, first of all, is I want to thank them for their input. And their input individually and particularly through the 5 borough chambers of commerce has been invaluable. This bill has evolved to be one that is balanced, that we do not believe, based on the time frame it'll be implemented, the trigger that is involved, and the number of 20 and 15, we believe it is one that will not have adverse effects on small businesses, will not cost jobs. Also, what's the biggest thing? All of us hear from small businesses nowadays: fines, penalties, enforcement. The rewrite, new amended version of this bill affects that, addresses that completely, reducing fines, changing the administrative burden of the enforcement. So this bill addresses in a very significant way the concerns of the small business community and strikes a balance. This will occur in more positive economic times than we first began this conversation. It will exempt the smallest of businesses, but those small businesses will still have to offer unpaid sick leave, which is very, very important. And the administrative burden is greatly reduced to one that is fair and not burdensome. So I would thank them for their input. I'm sorry if they're not satisfied, but this is a right balance in my opinion. Yes, ma'am. Oh, go ahead, Gail. Let Gail answer that. Gail, go to the mic.
If they already have paid time off, they're not part of the bill. So those that already have a policy that's equivalent, they're fine. I just want to make that clear because people forget.
Hang on. Yes, ma'am. Well, let me be clear. I have always said the question for me as it relates to paid sick leave was not a question of if, it was a question of when. And it was a question of doing the bill in a way that didn't cost small business jobs and doing it in a way that we had a sense of a solid economic foundation to implement the bill on. That is what we've achieved in this bill. One, through making sure all workers have sick leave. Two, by upping the number of employees that it starts at. Three, by pushing the start date out to a year from now and making the 15 number after that. We also, with our economic trigger based on the facts from the Federal Reserve Bank, which include things like measures of employment, wages, and hours worked, all of that together addresses the exact concerns I have been talking about. Sometimes it takes a while to get good policy, but this isn't about politics, it's about policy. Yes, Ozzy. I'm sorry, say that again, Ozzy. Well, what we've done as it relates to the federal, and what we're using here so folks understand, because it's hard to say there's one specific thing, right, that gives you a full sense of the economy. So we're working obviously with the Federal Reserve Bank of New York's coincident index. That coincidence index takes in a comprehensive collection of different informations. Is employment trending up? Are wages trending up? Are hours worked trending up? And when you look at the coincident index, and I want to thank Ray Majeski and Preston Niblack and Paul Strum and the rest of our team of economists for realizing we were kind of wrong looking for one thing and that we should go to this amalgam that exists within the Federal Reserve. They are trending upward very much in a very positive way compared to where we were about 3 years ago when I took my first public position on paid sick leave. And what the bill says is that they must remain at or above the January 2012 level. And I think if you spoke to the vast majority of economists, they would feel that the 2012 level was one that showed growth and positive movement in the economy. Yes, ma'am. Sure. Look, I think all of us who we've been working on this bill long struggled with what the right agency was for enforcement. And it's important to note that some of the original version of the bill, that question was left open. Now, we went back and forth. We could have left it open. We felt it was better to pick an agency. The Department of Health, for better or worse, is the one that small businesses complain about most aggressively. In an almost, to the degree you can have it in New York City, unanimous voice. So when we had conversation, there was clear agreement that wasn't the right way to go, although we understood why the coalition wanted to go there from a public health perspective. We thought the Department of Consumer Affairs, not that small businesses love when they get enforced by the Department of Consumer Affairs, but there's a general sense that it's an agency that has a more balanced perspective on small businesses, and we think that is a better place to put it based on just the historic experience of small businesses. Well, the Department of Consumer Affairs will have to work with them on the rulemaking and the implementation of that. You know, they'll have to be, we've changed the structure, and Gail can speak to this more about if you already have it, if you already have leave, right, you're not covered basically under the bill because you already have leave. You might have to prove that to the city. We're not prescribing what kind of paperwork you have to have, as other drafts have done. We're just saying you have to have paperwork and documentation so you can show the city. So if the DCA comes to check, you're going to have to show that, as opposed to having to switch your whole accounting system to one decided by the city, which is a very important thing. Also, the fines have been reduced significantly. Gail, did you want to answer?
Yeah, the way it works is that if I'm in a business and I have a complaint, then I have 9 months from that infraction to make the complaint. After that, it will be investigated by the department. It is a complaint-based system. Nobody's going to come around and check. If you have a complaint, that's how it works in San Francisco, Washington, D.C., Connecticut, etc. After that, they will do their usual investigation, and there will be a tribunal, just like in any other agency, and they'll be fined or not. You can get reinstated if, in fact, you've been incorrectly fired from your job, etc.
Speaker.
Yes.
Statement last night, Blasio said that hundreds of thousands of New Yorkers would not be carried as part of this agreement, and he seemed to indicate that he thought that was wrong. What's your response to that?
No, I think what today is about is what we are accomplishing. Today we are accomplishing a piece of legislation that in its totality will bring paid sick leave to nearly 1 million workers and bring sick leave to over 1 million workers in the city of New York. And we'll do it in a way that brings small business into this coalition, into this effort, that reduces fines, that reduces onerous administrative requirements, and does it in an economically sound way that will not cost jobs. That is an amazing accomplishment. Today is about what we have done for over 1 million workers in the city of New York, something we are incredibly proud of.
I can be specific on the
Yes.
numbers. If you're talking under 20, you're covering about another 964,000 workers. Then when you add the 15, which we'll be doing, it's another 75,000 workers. And since we're including franchises and chains, it's about 1 million workers who will be covered. Those are the numbers.
Yep, and then over, if you include those who are going to get the sick leave requirement, non-paid sick
protection, on
leave,
the job
job protection. Absolutely, so I think it's an enormous accomplishment, yes.
We know the mayor is threatened to veto this. Is this, coming after the IG bill, the veto of this, is this a way maybe for you to distance yourself from the mayor and also to kind of tap left before the Democratic primary?
This is a piece of legislation that we have come to agreement on. As has been said, we've been working and in conversations for 3 years on this piece of legislation and working to get to a point in the economy where I felt we were in a sound enough place to implement it into law. Clearly, that's not something somebody could time out. The economy got to a place where it got to when it got there, and the negotiations got to a place where they got to when they got there. The mayor and I have disagreed on 2 things this week. Okay. We've agreed on a lot more things this week. We'll agree on a lot more things next week. I suspect we might disagree on some things next week. This isn't about politics. This is about policy. When Mike Bloomberg and I agree, we'll agree. When we disagree, we'll disagree agreeably. And that's governing. Yes, sir. We override the veto. Pardon me? Oh, 5 days off, Gail?
Yeah, the issue was we wanted to have one set of numbers. Originally we had 9 and 5, and we wanted to have one, and it's back to what the speaker indicated. We talked to business. And so it was a combination of what workers need and have around the United States, and then also what business needed.
Okay, one or two more.
Paul? Oh, yeah, that's still on the bill. Thank you. Gail, why don't you talk
The
about
Independent Budget Office is going to work with us on looking at what the economic impacts are to back up what the index is from the Federal Reserve Bank. So it's a sort of like a It'll be done at the end of 2016. It's a study. It'll be done at the end of 2016. They have a fiscal outlook report that they do every year, and so they can piggyback what we need on top of their fiscal outlook report.
And that's
That'll be up to what, yes, that's how the trigger works, and it's in combination with the IBO report.
and the report is required in the bill, and then the report will bring, as Gail said, more information to the table, which people will do with it whatever they feel is right at that moment in time.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Amazing.
Told you.